Thanks, everybody. I've got one slide, and I want to talk to you today about doing the right thing. And I think everybody in this room has been affected by someone else not doing the right thing. So this is my very first client ever. When I was in law school, I knew I wanted to do family law. So I joined, or I signed up for, I took the class that was the Child and Family Clinic. So I signed up for the clinic, I get assigned this little girl's case. Now she's actually 21 years old, she weighs less than 80 pounds. She had an autoimmune disease that destroyed her liver that required a liver transplant. So I was assigned this case to get her on the liver transplant list. I'm a law student, right? No pressure because the clock is ticking. I think we all know if she didn't have a liver transplant, she would die.
Wow.
So the professor tells me, here's your case, do what you can. So I start researching everything about organ transplants, right? Everything there was to know about organ transplants, I read about it, I researched it, and I knew it. I talked to her doctors. I said, how could we have this girl, she's 21 years old, by the way. She's so sick, she really can't walk across the room. You really can't tell in this picture, but her lips are so purple because the oxygen just wasn't getting where it needed to be. She's a very sick little girl. So at first glance, for me, for a law student, how could they keep rejecting her? Why is she not on this transplant list? So I talked to her doctors. The doctor asked me, have you been to her house? I said, I've not been to her house yet. He said, go to her house, talk to her family, see how she lives, and call me after that. We'll have a discussion. I go to her house. Now, I grew up in a trailer, right? I grew up in the trailer park. But I was not prepared for this trailer I was about to walk into. The most roach-infested, dirty trailer I've ever seen in my life. Where I'm standing in her living room, there's little highways of roaches crawling. They're falling from the ceiling. There's a couple times I had to stamp my legs so they would fall off my pant leg. The roaches were everywhere. She required 24/7 oxygen. She did not have her oxygen on. Her mom said she can't wear her oxygen because the roaches had laid eggs inside the oxygen tubes, so she couldn't wear her oxygen. It was extremely, I grew up impoverished. I did not grow up like this. This was a whole new level for me. So, they were a very poor family, obviously. They lived off of her SSI checks, and they had enough money to pay the light bill, put some gas in the car when it ran, and that was about it. So I get back with the doctor. The doctor said, we cannot put her on the transplant list and send her back to that environment. Number one. Number two, she wasn't making her appointments. You have to go through a battery of psychological evaluations. You have to go through a bunch of physical tests. You have to go through a lot of testing, a lot of evaluations to get on the transplant list. He said, the appointments are made, she doesn't show up for the appointments. I asked the mother, why is she not coming? She said, well, we can't get a ride. Sometimes we don't have gas in the car. Sometimes our car just isn't running. So I see nothing legally for me to do, really, so we schedule the appointments. I tell the doctor, okay, I'm going to bring her to the appointments. I'll bring her myself. We're going to go get the psych eval done, and we're going to have to get her out of this trailer. So I put pen to paper, found some apartments that were clean. I figured with $10,000, I can get her out of this trailer into a nice rent-controlled apartment that's clean, where she has a pool, she can do physical therapy, and get her on the transplant list. So we thought if we can get enough funds to keep her in this apartment for 12 months, there's a good chance she can get this transplant. So I start calling every charity. And I'm in Orlando at this point. So I call every charity. I call every lead, every name. My friends are calling everybody. Came up with nothing. There's nothing. There was no resources, and my GI Bill definitely was going to cover the cost of getting her in an apartment. So after about 2 weeks, we're going back and forth to appointments down in Tampa. I'm taking her to these places. I'm doing everything because it's the right thing to do, right? Because nobody else could do it. Nobody else could step up and do this. So I'm starting to get frustrated because I know I need minimum $10,000 to get her in an apartment. And mind you, we had to scrap her bed, her linens, their furniture. There was roach eggs everywhere. So we keep going to the appointments. I keep making calls. I'm getting frustrated, but I don't give up. I'm still making calls. Well, it's coming to the end of some of the evaluations, and I get a call from this benefactor. He said, I hear that you're looking for $10,000. I'm just grateful at this point. And I explain and probably over-explain and tell him I can show you where this is legitimate and I'm a law student. He said, I'm going to give you the $10,000. If you need more, let me know. Right? His one requirement was I want to actually meet you. Right? So I went, met him. This man gives me $10,000. Well, in the meantime, I'm going through all this. My professor is watching. I'm kind of keeping them posted on what's going on. We're going down to these appointments. Didn't really say much about it. So when I get this $10,000, I already had the apartment picked out. We knew where we were going to get furniture. We were going to move her over spring break. So I rush into my professor's office and I say, oh, I got $10,000. I got $10,000 and we can get her into this apartment. He said, well, wait, how is she going to get in this apartment? I don't think that this apartment is going to lease to this mother. This mother doesn't have credit, doesn't have a job. I said, I already worked it out. The law school is going on the lease. So it was a blank stare. He said, you can't do that. I said, I already cleared it with the dean. Yeah, you weren't here, so kind of went over your head for just a minute. The dean said we could do this, but you have to make sure the rent is paid every month. Okay? Stoic face. He said, we can't have $10,000. We have to open a trust account. And I said, well, just tell me what to do. No, you can't open a trust account. You're a student. And I said, okay. Well, when you open the trust account, let me know. We'll put the $10,000 in there. He said, well, then I have to oversee the $10,000. Right. Then you oversee the $10,000. He said, you know, Melissa, up until this point, he said, I haven't said anything. I just let you go. But you can't take $10,000 from this man. I don't want you driving her to appointments. You don't move anybody into an apartment. You be a lawyer. I said, but there's nothing for me to do. There's nothing legally for me to do. I can't do anything. I can't file a motion to override what the doctors are saying. I can't file a motion to waive the psychological evaluation. There's nothing I can do. He said, well, then there's nothing for you to do. And in law school, right, your GPA is very important because they make you believe that the higher your GPA, the better the jobs you're going to get, which it might be important on your first job, maybe not, right? He said, right now, we get 1A in this course and you got it. You're doing an amazing job. If you take this $10,000 and if you make me open a trust account, okay, you get a B. So he said, I want you to take some time and I want you to think about it. And you come back and let me know. And I said, well, I thought about it. And I've got to go because I have to get $10,000. And when I get back, you're going to open a trust account. You're going to pay this rent every month. You're going to oversee the trust account. And he said, I'm not playing with you. You take this $10,000, you get a B in this course. And I said, well, I've got to go. I've got a B to earn. So I walked out, met the benefactor, got $10,000 for the first time in my law school's history. We opened a trust account. We're a fully functioning, operating law firm, right? Opened a trust account, moved her in an apartment. She had physical therapy. She had a swimming pool. She had a clean bed. And when I graduated, the case was already pretty much done. Got handed over to another law student. Now Sarah, little less than 80-pound Sarah, there was fire and vinegar running through those veins, let me tell you what. All right? So Sarah refused to work with the law student after and insisted on still working with me, which is fine. Her case was over. So at this point, we're just waiting. She had a pager, just waiting for a liver. So I went to law school in Florida and went back to Alabama, studying for the bar. Got a phone call, her health started failing. So I went back to Florida. She was in Winnie Palmer down in Tampa. I went over this several times. Never cried in years. I sat with her for about 3 days. The doctor gave me any information I wanted, and he said, give her whatever she wants. If she wants Skittles for breakfast, give her Skittles for breakfast. She was, at that point, it was difficult for her to even sit upright. So we had Skittles for breakfast. We had a lot of Skittles. And after the 3rd day, I had to go back to Alabama. And the last thing she said to me was, Miss Melissa, will you keep a picture of me in your office? This is the picture that's in my Montgomery office. And she died about 3 days later. So, that said, we all know what the right thing is. But it doesn't matter if you don't do it. Everybody in this room has been negatively affected by somebody who didn't do the right thing. Right? Now she passed. We didn't get it in time, right? She passed. But the last months of her life were good. They were happy. She was happy the last months of her life. Do I regret? Like, let me tell you what, a B meant absolutely nothing. He could have told me, you're going to fail this course. I would have said, I got to go, I got a course to fail, right? So, what I was told was, you're not a social worker. You're a lawyer, you stay in your lane. Right? You're not going to be successful if you go out there and act like a social worker. Well, I think my firm is doing a lot of social stuff right there, right? We're all here because we want to do the right thing. We're all here because we're unified and because we're passionate. That's why we're here. And this is just there's us who are here. There's people who are watching on Facebook Live. There's people in different groups. We all do the right thing. We all come together. There's no telling what we can do. This is one story. And that professor, by the way, was terminated about 4 or 5 years ago, I was told. And when he would go and ask for funds for the clinic, he brought up this case and took credit for every bit of work that I did. I don't care, by the way. The point is, those people are out there, and we have to work with them or sometimes work around them. But it's up to you at the end of the day. What am I going to do? Am I going to do what suits myself? Or am I going to do what is going to help someone else? What I know to be right. The Bar Association doesn't set the standard for me. I set my standard. I set my bar. And I conduct myself accordingly. Everybody in this room, I believe, does that. And no matter what someone else does, no matter what the repercussions are, you have to maintain that personal level of integrity. You maintain that. That's you. So the takeaway, like I've already said, is it doesn't matter. If you know what the right thing is, it doesn't matter if you don't do it. You have to do it. We're here because we love each other, because we love our kids. We want to make change. So everybody here, keep doing the right thing. Even if it hurts you, keep doing the right thing, because it helps somebody else. And in the end, that's all that matters, right? Is that we do the right thing. I love you all. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you.